Chapter 18. When plans collapse, Thursday night arrived with a bone-chilling wind that cut through Gotham's industrial district. I crouched on a steel beam 3 stories above the power plant construction site, my new armor keeping me warm despite the temperature. The red thermal lining Bruce had insisted on was proving its worth. Crimson, status check. Dick's voice crackled through my earpiece. He was positioned on a neighboring warehouse rooftop with a directional microphone and long-range camera. In position, I whispered, "No movement yet." "Catwoman, how copy?" Bruce's voice came next, steady and professional from the bunker. Selina's response carried an edge of tension. Surveillance package deployed in Shrek's car. Audio and video feeds are active. I'm clear of the building and heading to my secondary position. I spotted her a moment later, a sleek shadow in black leather moving across the rooftops with feline grace. She settled onto a crane platform about 50 yards from my position, her whip coiled at her hip. Even from this distance, I could sense her coiled energy. The construction site sprawled below us like a sleeping beast. Concrete foundations surrounded the massive metal framework that would house Shrek's capacitor array. Floodlights cast harsh shadows across the skeletal structure. I counted 6 Red Triangle gang members patrolling the perimeter, circus performers turned enforcers, their weapons poorly concealed. Multiple hostiles on site. I reported. "Looks like Penguin brought extra muscle tonight." "Expected," Bruce said. After Joker's appearance at the Venetian room, Shrek would demand increased security. "Everyone stay sharp and remember the mission. Observe and record only. We need admissible evidence." A black limousine rolled through the construction site gates, followed by Shrek's town car. My fingers flexed against the cold steel beam. Everything in me wanted to drop down and confront him immediately, but Bruce had drilled discipline into me over the past year. Patience, strategy, unity over individual action. The Penguin emerged first, his distinctive waddle unmistakable even from this height. His umbrella, which Dick had warned me doubled as both weapon and shield, tapped against the frozen ground. The ringmaster flanked him, his red coat garish under the floodlights. Max Shreck exited his vehicle, his white hair perfectly styled despite the wind. Even from here, I could read the tension in his posture. He gestured curtly to the Penguin, and the 2 men walked toward the central structure, trailed by their respective enforcers. "Audio feed active," Bruce confirmed. "Recording engaged." Selina's surveillance package was working perfectly. Through my earpiece, I heard Shrek's voice, sharp with irritation. "This meeting should have been unnecessary. You assured me Napier was eliminated." He fell into a vat of industrial chemicals. The Penguin rasped. His voice had a wet, unpleasant quality. "No one survives that. How was I to know the lunatic would crawl out looking like a circus freak?" "The Joker is threatening everything we've built," Shrek snapped. "He knows about the capacitor array. He has documentation of our financial arrangements. If he goes public, then we eliminate him," the Penguin interrupted. "Permanently this time. The Red Triangle gang isn't afraid of one deranged clown." I felt Selina's presence before I saw her move, a subtle shift in the shadows. Her hand clenched around her whip, knuckles white. I understood her rage, listening to these men casually discuss murder while planning to exploit Gotham's most vulnerable citizens. "Hold position," Bruce warned, reading our biometrics. "You're both getting elevated heart rates. Stay calm." Then I heard it, a sound that made my blood freeze. Laughter. High, manic, echoing across the construction site like breaking glass. "Oh, Maxie, Oswald, don't start the party without me." The Joker emerged from behind the capacitor framework, and even from my elevated position, I could see his bone-white face split into that horrible grin. He wore a purple suit that looked expensive despite being splattered with what I hoped was paint. Behind him, a dozen figures materialized from the shadows, not circus performers, but street thugs wearing crude clown makeup, all armed. "Abort," Bruce said sharply. "All units pull back now. This is about to turn into a war zone." But it was already too late. The Red Triangle gang drew weapons. The Joker's crew responded in kind. Shrek stumbled backward, his face pale with genuine terror. The Penguin raised his umbrella, and I saw the telltale glint of a gun barrel concealed within. "You should have stayed dead, Jack," the Penguin snarled. "Dead is so boring." The Joker giggled, producing a revolver from his jacket. "And you should have known, the joke's always on Gotham, especially on lying, backstabbing, greedy little men who think they run this city." He fired 3 shots into the air. The sound shattered the night, and suddenly everyone was moving. The 2 gangs collided in a chaos of gunfire and hand-to-hand combat. Shrek ran for his car, the ringmaster providing cover. The Penguin's umbrella discharged, not a gun, but some kind of gas that billowed across the construction site. "Renee, do not engage," Bruce commanded, but I saw a stray bullet punch through a support cable. The crane Selina was perched on groaned, metal shrieking as the structure began to collapse. She leaped, but the platform tilted, throwing off her trajectory. I was moving before I could think, my dream angel speed flooding through my muscles. I launched from my beam, grappling gun firing, swinging in a wide arc across the construction site. Bullets whined past me. I caught Selina mid-fall, her body slamming into mine as my arm wrapped around her waist. We crashed onto a concrete foundation, rolling to absorb the impact. I ended up on top of her, both of us breathing hard. So much for observation. Only, Selina gasped, "Crimson Claw." The Joker's delighted voice carried over the chaos. "How wonderful! The heroine arrives. Now, this is a party." He was pointing his revolver directly at Shrek, who had frozen halfway to his car. The business tycoon's eyes locked with mine, filled with desperate calculation. "Well, Little Claw," the Joker's grin widened impossibly. "Do you save the corrupt businessman who's poisoning your city, or do you let me deliver some much-needed justice? Choose quickly. My trigger finger gets so impatient." Dick's voice crackled urgently. "Renee, I'm moving in from the east. Nightwing is active. We do this together." The Penguin's gang and Joker's crew continued their brutal fight around us. Somewhere in the chaos, the ringmaster was organizing a retreat, and I stood in the center of it all, having to decide in seconds whether to protect a villain from a monster.